Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a young girl called Rapunzel. Now Rapunzel's story began when she was just a baby. Her parents were the king and queen, and they were filled with joy when she was born. But one day, a lonely and selfish witch appeared at the palace, and she took the child away. The witch loved Rapunzel as though she were her own daughter, and she feared losing her, wanting her all to herself. The witch raised Rapunzel in a tall tower deep in the forest. The tower had no door, no stairs, and only a single window at the very top. Whenever the witch wanted to visit, she would stand below and call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And Rapunzel would lower her long, beautiful hair, and the witch would use her hair to climb up. The years went on, and Rapunzel grew into a kind and generous young woman. However, she was isolated from the world and had never even met another human being. She spent her days painting pictures, singing songs, reading books. But she had a feeling of emptiness and began to feel lonely. Nearby, in a beautiful kingdom, there lived a kind and brave prince, and he had heard rumours of a girl who was locked away in a tower. Curious, he set out on an adventure to find her. One day, when he was riding through the forest, he heard a beautiful, sweet singing voice floating through the trees. Rapunzel had never seen a prince before, and she looked down and waved. "Who are you?" he cried. "I'm Rapunzel," she replied. "I've lived in this tower as long as I can remember." The prince introduced himself and told her all about the stories that he had heard. Rapunzel felt nervous and happy. As the days passed, the prince returned. They shared stories, laughed, and dreamed of a world beyond the tower. Slowly but surely, Rapunzel felt her feeling of loneliness begin to disappear. And Rapunzel and the prince realized they cared for each other deeply. Each visit, the prince would climb up Rapunzel's hair and they would have a cup of tea in her room. However, one day, Rapunzel made a grave mistake. When the witch came to visit, she said, "Oh, mother, why are you so much heavier than the prince?" The witch was furious, but most of all afraid of losing Rapunzel. She cut off her long, beautiful hair and sent her far away to live alone. That evening, when the prince came to visit, the witch lowered Rapunzel's cut hair from the tower. He climbed up, but was so shocked to see the witch that he fell. Fortunately, the prince was bruised but unharmed. However, he was terribly heartbroken and wandered the land for years calling Rapunzel's name. One day, as he wandered through the forest, he heard a familiar song. It was Rapunzel. She had survived and never given up hope. The prince followed the sound of her voice, and they once again stood face to face. Together, they returned to her mother and father, and they were reunited. Her parents were absolutely delighted and held their daughter for a long time. Rapunzel and the prince got married, and they lived a long, happy life together, far away from the wicked witch. Their love was celebrated for generations, and their story told time and time again.